Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing this myself today. Bobby's out for the day, so I'm going to be doing my preview of, I guess, all the sports today. And I'm just going to do it, I just kind of a little bit differently. Maybe I will go a little bit game by game, but I want to give an overall kind of slate view of how I view the pitchers, how I view the hitting, and I want to rank them just kind of in tiers. And maybe I will go through game by game, but I want to give an overall view first. And we'll see. Maybe this is going to go longer, but I imagine it's going to go shorter. So for me, there is a pitcher who really stands out as far and above everybody else on today's slate, and that's going to be Lucas Giolito. His projection is just so far above everybody else's with respect to his salary. And when I account for that and the upside and all that stuff using, the tools that I've just been using in baseball, I just have him just so far above that he's going to probably be in every one of my DraftKings lineups. I like him more than Scherzer. I like him more than Scherzer on raw points as well, if you want to know the truth. And that might be a hot take. It might not be. I don't know. But that's just where I'm at. This is, before I poison myself with a lot of other content. This is just strictly based on my numbers. This is what I'm coming up with. So I do have Lucas Giolito as my top overall pitcher by a lot. My SP2, or I should say my second pitcher, it's a little closer. Like right now, like if you put a gun to my head right now, I would probably pay all the way down for Jose Quintana. He would be, if everything locked right now, this would probably be the way I would go. I don't think that either Giolito or Quintana are going to be that chalky. I think that Giolito is going to, he'll be owned, but I think that naturally people are going to play a lot of Scherzer, which probably they should. But Quintana at 6,500, maybe people will go to him because they'll see what I see. But for now, he rates to be probably my second best value as far as pitching goes. My next kind of tier is kind of one by himself, and that is Walker Buehler, obviously for the Dodgers. Now, the problem with this is that, you play two of these together, you might run into issues with respect to making good lineups. And we'll get to the hitting in a little bit. And that's what you have to do. You have to then, figure out how doing something like this is going to impact the rest of your builds. But just straight, if it was just pitching values and nothing else, Buehler would be probably in a tier of his own third. And then in a tie for fourth, actually, for me, I have the aforementioned Max Scherzer. I doubt I'm going to play both these guys together. And the other guy that I would have is down in this list is Frankie Montas for Oakland. So this is kind of the way it kind of spreads out for me. And I'll show you my sheet here. Show you the wide gap, like the way I value these guys. I have Giolito just as a huge, best play. So that's where I'm at with respect to the pitching. Let me look at Fanduel really quickly and see if there's any real difference between the two. I don't know whether I want to go back and forth between Fanduel and DraftKings or just do all of DraftKings then Fanduel. But let's start by doing a quick Fanduel run and seeing where the pitchers grade out over there. Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. It's Giolito, basically clear number one. And unfortunately for his price, I'm just not going to be getting any Scherzer over there. It's the way it is. Okay, back over to DraftKings. Let me look at the stacks here, and I'm looking at them based on ownership, based on whatever. And if you wanted to know which is at least for me, the best stack, with respect to raw points, and also with respect to, even considering value, it's going to be the Yankees, which is going to come as, people are going to get really tilted by that because they can't even beat Matt Harvey. I mean, they can't beat anybody. Nonetheless, Garrett Cole pitching? There's no way Garrett Cole's pitching. So if you can do it, sure. And the guys you probably want to highlight are, this is what I have. You could get some good values here. Like, for example, you could play as part of your stack. You could play where is Gio Urshela? You play Gio Urshela is a very, very cheap 3,100. That's one thing you do. Another thing you could do to make Yankee stacks work is maybe play Clint Frazier, and he's 2,700. And aside from that, it's just the normal guys, and I don't need to go through who those are. Stanton, Judge, Hicks, they're the normal, sort of the normal Yankees. And if you use Montage, you can certainly do this. All right. What I am seeing, though, at least in early runs, is that the ownership for the Yankees is going to be extremely healthy. Let's put it that way. So what I'd like to do is see if there's, and the problem, though, is that there's such a huge drop-off, at least for me, with the Yankees to the rest, that it's a question of really just how much risk you want to take. And I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to take on a little bit of that risk and go to some lower owned lower owned options. So let me just pull up my sheet a second here. Yeah, so the next tier down with respect to values is going to be, and this is the way I just kind of look at it, is number one is going to be the Angels. Against Fultonavich, and the guys you'd expect, Walsh, Rendon, Trout, Upton, Fletcher. I mean, those guys are going to be really, really, really expensive. So it's going to be hard to get those in. And honestly, you're not going to be getting that much of an ownership discount with respect to the Yankees. So for me, I think that's actually not a good place to go. You might hear, well, I'm going to pivot to the Angels instead of the Yankees. I just don't think you're getting enough ownership break to make up for what's really a big drop-off in projected points and projected upside between the Yankees and the Angels. What I'd be more inclined to do if I was going to do that is go even lower owned. And right now, a team that is looking to be, for whatever reason, lower owned than those guys are the Padres. The Padres, for me, rate about the same as the Angels as far as values, but they rate right now at least to be lower owned. So I would go to them before I would go to the Angels, for example. And they, no big surprises there. The usual Tatis, Machado, Myers. You could always play Cronenworth in here. He's even getting a little bit more expensive, but he's a guy that can make your San Diego stacks kind of run a little bit. Okay. Just to kind of show you just kind of discrepancy in some of these. This is just, again, this is not, it doesn't usually get this much. So the way I rank them is this way. It's most of the time, and the Yankees are just such a clear favorite. And if you drop down to like the Angels, you don't really get that much of an ownership break. But if you go to the Padres, then you do. The next way I look at this are these two teams that are a little bit even below Angels and Padres, where you're getting a huge ownership break, and that would be Washington and San Francisco. Let me see if there's anybody else right kind of in that tier. No, so it'd be, and somewhat Baltimore. So San Francisco, Baltimore, and Washington. So to give you an idea, well, hold on, let me pull this back up here again. Actually, I'll put it to the other side. So if you went to Washington, for example, just want to go over who I like from there. You're going to have Robles, Schwarber, Turner, Josh Bell, Castro. You could do that, and that's the way you can get a really good ownership break. If you want to play chalky pitchers, like I do think Giolito and Montes are going to be somewhat popular. But you could play Josh Bell. He's cheap enough. You could play Victor Robles. Is he still cheap? He was. Yeah, he's only $3K. So you can make all this work. So like if you wanted to play, for example, you know, you don't necessarily have to do that, but if you want to play Giolito with another top pitcher, whether that be Bueller, I did mention Bueller was up, but yeah, Bueller or even Scherzer, then maybe you could do it by playing some of these Washington guys again. So that's it's pretty much that. Anything else with respect to stacks that I missed? So again, with respect to San Francisco, I don't usually like playing teams coming off of 12-run games like that. But again, if you're going to get lower ownership again, I mean, they seem really, really cheap. So it would be Belt, real cheap, Dickerson, 3,500, Stella, he might be leading off here, Longoria. You know, you can make all this really just for an example. Where's an expensive guy? Let's just put in Bueller for example. Like you could go double studs and pitcher if you do stuff like San Francisco, like for example, and you are fading the Yankees in that respect, so you're getting some leverage off of them. And hey, this is baseball. Nobody says the Yankees have to do anything. And you know what? The Yankees haven't done anything since, you know, seemingly since the Eisenhower administration. So that's that. Before I go over to FanDuel, why don't I let me just look and see if there's any really kind of standout one-offs that I might have missed when I went over the stack parts. I did mention Aaron Hicks. Again, I hate to go, not to go position by position. This is kind of easier for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in just all these value plays. So Aaron Hicks rates to be really cheap. I want to focus on guys I haven't really mentioned yet. That rate to be really, really strong plays. Arizona had one in the outfield. Cole Calhoun, still cheap at 2,800. Urshela, I mentioned at third base. Austin Meadows at outfield. Where's Austin Meadows? Yeah. Now again, like this is obviously you could do this in non-Montas lineups, but Austin Meadows is a good play. I mentioned Clint Frazier. I mentioned Tatis in respect of within the construct of San Diego stacks, but you can certainly play him as a one-off. Judge, Torres, these Yankees could all be good one-offs. I guess that's pretty much it with respect to DraftKings. Now again, this is a little early, so we got to watch lineup changes and do more ownership runs. But that's kind of where I'm at with respect to DraftKings. Let me pause for a second and go into FanDuel. All right, sorry about that. So as I mentioned, with respect to FanDuel, I have Giolito as my top pitcher over there, and I don't think I'm going to need to pay down to somebody like Quintana on FanDuel. We'll see. Let me take a look at the stacks really quick. Let's see if I really need to. Like if I need to play Quintana, if I want to play Yankees, for example. If the Yankees are even where I want to go, let me just take a look. Yeah, on FanDuel, wow. I mean, it is, well, is it that big of a difference? So the Yankees do rate to be just significantly better, again, on FanDuel than on, similarly to DraftKings. The one team that steps up a little bit more on FanDuel is Atlanta. So for me, it would be Yankees and Atlanta would be the guys that want to get in. But then, same thing. I think if you go down to the Padres, you get a little bit of an ownership break. If you go down to the Nationals, you certainly get an ownership break, and all the way down to San Francisco. So, like for example, where I have a little more leeway to put in what I want here on FanDuel. Let's just say that I wanted to just pay for. Whoa, why is there no? There's no Torres. What's the problem with Torres? Oh, he's second base over here. So let's say I wanted to do Torres, DeLemayhew, wrong with these? I don't understand what's wrong with this position. DeLeMahieu, oh, he's also second base. What is this? Then Stanton, and then Judge, for example. I mean, can you do this? And what type of stack do you need to fill in to make like a Giolito work over here? Like, you're not going to be able to play the Atlanta guys along with this. And you're not going to probably be able to play, I don't think so. Let's just take a look. Let's see what you're going to do if you're going to play San Diego. No, I mean, because Tatis already takes up 4,400, you're already kind of toast. And if you wanted to play Atlanta, for example, I mean, this becomes hard if you played Acuna. And then, yeah, this is a tough pairing, the Braves and the Yankees, because you want this. We want the guys from that same, for the same positions pretty much. But let's just say I wanted to play Freeman, and then, well, let's put Acuna. I just want to see, like, if you really gain much, like what would happen if I did play down to Quintana, just for, I'm not saying I have to do that, but what does this do for me if I did this? Well, what it allows me to do is get everybody, right? I could even get, for example, probably even Tatis. You know, if that's what I wanted to do, and I can almost get Machado. So, and I could only see that's what, yes, what playing Quintana can do for you. I mean, this is what it does. It just loads up your entire lineup with like all the top hitters. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna be a sucker and probably do one with Quintana because it allows me to because it allows me to get literally everybody I want over here with the Braves and the Yankees. As a matter of fact, let me enter that right now. But let me just see about other things. Like, let's just say that I wanted to change this, and I wanted to play Giolito. Now's where I need to figure out good values on Fanduel. So maybe like a Washington or something like that would be something I would want to do. Washington or even San Francisco. Like if I loaded up on just say the Braves, not the Braves. Let's say I loaded up on the Yankees again. Let's put them both here. Let's put what did I say? DeLeMahieu or Sanchez? Let's put Sanchez in, and then we'll put in Judge. We put in Judge already. DJ LeMahieu, put it in second base. And now let's say that I wanted to fill the rest of this in. Now I could go and play like Washington guys probably. Let's take a look at Washington guys look like. Trey Turner is always kind of expensive, but Josh Bell I could play over there. Sterling Castro's cheap. I could play him. Actually, we have LeMahieu at second base, right? So maybe Washington wouldn't be the one to do it with. Maybe we can go to San Francisco, like for example. So this way you could play Longoria. Do we want to play Longoria? Yeah, let's say you want to play Longoria over here. And Crawford, if you want to do that. You can do whatever you want over here. So so you could play Giolito on Fanduel, but you can't play Yankees and Atlanta, like for example. Not that you'd want to. Maybe you want to play Yankees and San Diego, or Atlanta and San Diego, or something like that. But what I think you want to do is filter in these secondary stacks, such as the Washingtons and the San Franciscos and things like that. You know what? I think I did a poor job of illustrating Washington. Let me put this on again. Let's start with my favorite Washingtons. So let's just say we start with Josh Bell, and then we go to Sterling Castro. We have him in the utility, which I don't want. Let's put him in the. Let's put him here in the second base. Then we wanted who else? Schwarber and Turner. So let's put Turner and then Schwarber. So now you have 3,000 left per player. You can't exactly get all the Yankees or all the Braves you want, but you can kind of pick and choose. Who's third base? Is Torres third base for the Yankees? No, it's Urshela, but Urshela is really cheap. So you could do this if you want, but then even the outfield, I don't even know if you can get the Yankees here, which is not the end of the world. I mean, it's not like you have to have the Yankees. Well, you see where I'm headed here. So that's who I like as far as stacks go. And real quickly, with respect to FanDuel players, let me see if there's anybody that I missed with respect to one-offs. I mentioned Torres a million times, Judge, Stanton, Yankee. I mean, all the Yankees pretty much. I mean, they're just really strong plays. Trout, you can always play him. Helston Hura looks to be a strong play for some reason. First base, Milwaukee, 2,400. And that's pretty much it. You know, hopefully this was not too long or too short. I'm not even sure. But this certainly represents the way I'm thinking of attacking the Major League Baseball slate tonight. And we'll certainly take another look at it later. That's about it. Good luck, guys.